you be worried about the people in the stands to worry about where you stand. And right now, I'm really standing on thin ice because internally I'm having an ice age type of meltdown. But I feel more like that scroll at the beginning, or is it the end of every ice age movie? That's just trying to chase after that fucking acorn. Welcome to episode 24 of Often Beat. I'm your host, Clint. That's a great, I feel like that actually has a meaningful open message. One of the few meaningful ones I've had. Sometimes we worry about what people who observe us, what they think about us so much. We worry about people that are quote unquote in the stands. But we don't even worry about where we stand as ourselves. Let me tell you where you stand. You're standing. That's all that matters. Just keep standing. And all right. It is 3:34 a.m. Seems to be around a common time I like to record. It's Sunday, July 18th. I am recording this. I have been having some meltdowns recently. I had a meltdown earlier. I noticed I get mad. Like, I don't think this is an uncommon thing, but I definitely get more angry at smaller things than bigger things. Like, oh, Clint, you got in a car wreck. Someone stole your car and threw it and then drove it into a river. Would I be mad? Of course. Would I be stressed? Of course. But my initial reaction wouldn't be near as heavy as if I walked into my room and I saw a cockroach on my bed. Stress levels would be a little bit higher. Not a big fan of cock in my bed or roaches. Not really my thing. Crickets, that line did not hit. But I wonder if I did do a couple lines, would it hit me? One of the few things that stopped me from doing cocaine in my life is the simple fact that I'm afraid to put anything up my nose. Afraid to put Afrin. I used to have a clogging on one side of my nose all the time. I think it was caused from an imbalance issue. And I was always have one side of my nose always stuffed up, it seemed like. But don't really have those problems anymore. I really don't. But if I did cocaine, would it clear out the nasals? The nasal cavity. I used to have a nosebleeding issue. I'm sure that would expound. It would come back to life. Talk about reliving your past by making granular decisions in the moment. Now, there was someone, I'm not going to say their name. I'm not even going to say where they told me this at because I would give it away. But someone I came across the other day, this is 100% true. Not that anything I say on this podcast isn't true, but So this older, not that old, probably like a guy in his late 30s, early 40s. He's a father, but he's a single father, quote unquote, whatever that means. And he likes to mingle with these troubled ladies, let's just say. And he doesn't do drugs anymore. He's kind of a recovered addict. He turned his life around. Probably, I don't remember how many years exactly, but it's been probably at least a decade or so. He's a pretty clean guy for the most part. But he's telling me the night before that he ran into this dilemma. And I was like, okay, you don't have to tell me. But he continues to tell me. You know that person where you say, like, I got the gist, you don't have to go into detail. And not only do they go into detail, they show you nudes of themselves and possibly another human interacting with the nude. If you get my drift. But in this instance, I was like, hey man, I get the gist. He's like, so she put a line on the table, the small little table they had next to the bed after they were done having their social interaction. Blood, sweat, and tears. That's what they must have meant when they said, leave it all out on the field. You know, get the first down. It's like, because once I get the first down in interactions, I'm done. Who cares about getting the half field? You know, I'm going to do just enough to get that first down. I'm not getting 18 yards to get you in better field position for the next first down. I'm going to get that 10 yards, ask for a substitute. Hey, man, just get me when we get to the goal line. Then I'll come back in and I'll ram it in. Wow, that was a very, not going to lie, it was a pretty impressive sex analogy I just made with football. Anyways, but he already went past the goal line. The interaction is done. You know, I would assume in post-relief situations, typically people like to interact with substances of many types. Sometimes before it enhances the interaction. Sometimes you do it post-interaction to maybe enhance and transition to the next interaction. You know, sometimes you have double headers, triple headers. If you had a couple canceled games, a couple rainy days, not very good for the arms or the legs. You're gonna have a very sore day the next day. But gotta do what you gotta do. Games gotta be played. Money's gotta be made. Blanks gotta be slayed. Ho ho ho. Sometimes you may come up with a red nose if it's 25th. And she probably has a little fucker who plays with Rudolphs. Speaking of, side note, there's that ex-Florida State receiver, Travis Rudolph, officially charged with murder. Doesn't really have anything to do with this, but made a football analogy. Travis Rudolph, murder, Rudolph, red nose. I'm going to put it into that statement. Don't forget the period. Anyways, God, that was so childish. But so she put remember I told you his living life to the fullest days are behind him. He's a very mellowed down. He's just trying to live life normal, you know. Just have a normal fucking life. Has a job, able to provide for his kid. Has a little fun on the side when he can. Nothing that's detrimental to his child. But this lady wanted to get him back to those days. Now let me break the news. Let me report he did not end up doing it. But she pulled out some of the cocaine. And she put it on the table. Now, he asked me a very question. He said, I didn't do it. But let's say he's like, put yourself in my position. Basically saying, Clint, put yourself in my position. It's like, well, I wouldn't, because I would not do anything with the lady of the picture and rest of her body that you unsolicitedly showed me. But let's say I did blind myself and decided to follow through and get in my go-to position and put myself in your position. Is it rude to turn down cocaine or any substances? It doesn't even have to be cocaine specifically. It could be heroin, PCP. It could be some Molly. Shout out to Molly. Yeah. Oh, man. That was a good one time I did that. Anyone want to do Molly? Just hit me up. But yeah. He said, is it rude to turn down someone that just gave you their personal body, and in exchange, you just do a line with them, you know? Maybe you just do a hit, whatever it is you're doing. Is it rude? Is it cocaine etiquette? And I'm not going to lie. I thought about it for a second. Then I thought about it for an hour. Then I thought about it for a day. It's been a week. Well, no, it's been like 3 days, not a week. It's been 3 days since this situation was brought to my attention. And I'm not going to lie. I haven't come to a full conclusion yet. Me personally, I'm never doing cocaine. I just don't see the appeal of snorting something up my nose when I already have trouble breathing. And as far as I know, cocaine does not help with breathing. If they say cocaine will cure your asthma and you'll start breathing like you can be underwater for 8 hours at a time, then fuck yeah. I'm gonna buy that bitch in bulk. Costco, bitch. Boom. I'll even fucking get a Costco membership. Pay whatever the annual fee is. Cocaine, hot dogs. Sounds like a win-win to me. But it was genuine. Even if you don't do cocaine, even if you're not into drugs at all. If I have a hot, steamy night with the lady and she wants me to feel something I've never felt before. She wants me to feel the racing. She wants me to feel the mind-bending changes, the heart rush, probably quite literally. I still want to see that Chris Hemsworth movie, which I believe where he's playing what are they called? Formula One driver, probably 1960s, 70s, but it's like a story about him and another driver. It's called Rush. It's Chris Hemsworth. He lost a lot of weight to do the role, and it's literally called Rush because he's always doing fucking drugs for the rush of the rush. So it's like big time rush. Except it's not, I have a feeling it's not a movie that's going to be on Nickelodeon ever. But hey, they let creeps like Dan Schneider run the kids shows. And now you got Jamie Lynn Spears being called out by her own sister. It's a weird fucking cycle. And Dan Schneider possibly impregnating Jamie Lynn Spears. Just a rumor, not confirmed, but hey, what you gonna do? You fat fuck. Anyways, but yeah. Is there drug etiquette when you get intimate with an individual in your bed? Like, let's say in my bed, huh? Let's say on this flimsy black table. And by flimsy, I literally mean you can shake. If I shake it too hard, it'll probably collapse like Pompeii. And, but hey, Kings of Leon, the sex was on fire. But, I have a feeling if I did cocaine, I'm an extremist. I would probably do too much and I would probably die on the spot. And then I wouldn't even be able to live to tell how great my cocaine experience was. Damn, that got dark really fucking quick. But hey, dark times create the light in people. Or you just get a ring light and it makes you look lighter and smiler, makes your teeth whiter, and you don't even need a mouthwash. Like the Ed Sheeran song, it's like, Listerine, the way you make me feel some the castle on the hill. For the longest time, I thought the part was like, Listerine. But I found out months and months later after listening to the song, it's the way you make me feel. I used to think it was Listerine, but hey, you live and you learn. But I guess I wouldn't even live to be able to learn from this hypothetical cocaine situation. But I did think about this because I am someone, I always, for lack of a better word, I always prepare. I prepare and I project any time a potential situation. I feel like I got to prepare for this mentally. You know, people prepare for doomsday. They have bunkers. They have, closets and bunkers and basements full of preservative foods just in case if a apocalypse were to happen. And while they're thinking of possibly surviving, I'm thinking about what if I were to spanky with the ladies while they're taking off their Spanx, and they were to pull out a line on my table. I am someone who when I'm in love. The emotions are burning up like the Jonas Brothers. Burning up for you, baby. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very sensitive. When I start getting when I connect with a woman, my emotional bag starts coming out of me. Can't control myself. I act like nothing could bother me, but get me in the bedroom and you tell me sweet nothings. You tell me you love me, even when there's no reason you should. You shouldn't love someone that doesn't love themselves. I do love myself. I'm joking there. But I do think, I think about if you catch me in an intimate moment, let's say I was drinking a little, and let's say we can have an experience that you've never had with any other individual and you may never have again. We can have the greatest night of our lives. But you need to do a couple of these lines. And I don't mean remembering your lines, like if you were doing a skit of yours, Clint. No, I need you to do these lines on the table. Peer pressure. One of the great strengths of myself is I have never fallen into peer pressure, really at all in my life. And that's probably why I don't have a whole lot of friends, because you can't make me do something I don't want to do or that I don't feel right doing. I think I gain a lot of respect from people that way, but it also makes it hard for people to want to be around me because I'm not the funnest person. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just not. Maybe I'm a bad friend. I don't know. One good thing school taught me was don't fall for peer pressure. If you want to do something, make your mind up yourself. I think that's the way we should all go through life. But hey, we're all susceptible. We all want to fit in. We all want to not be a Debbie Downer of the party. Sometimes you'll just go along with things. You may drink more than you'd want to. You may drink something maybe you shouldn't. And you end up being a Bill Cosby victim when you get peer pressure. But I would like to say I wouldn't, but goddamn, if the opportunity presented itself and the night was going, let's just say, great, and there's a potential that doing this can make it be that much greater, I don't know. I just went off for 15 minutes, and the conclusion is I don't know what I would do. Cocaine etiquette. Is there? I think it's the same type of etiquette. Something I've learned is you don't walk into strangers' houses with your shoes on. Something I've only learned in recent years. Never knew it was that big of a deal, but apparently it is. Take your shoes off at the door. It's like, yeah, but you got a lot of mosquitoes just swirling around here. I don't want no mosquitoes fucking crawling in my Asics. Those are my all-purpose shoes. They're like my 5-in-1 shampoo, body wash, shaving, pube cream. Like, that's the way I look at my shoes. Like, you go to the store and you get one of those 5-in-1, all-for-one shower type of containers. It's like Suave. You could body wash, conditioner, shampoo, which I don't know how all three can really work in one and actually be the full effect, but goddamn, it works. It works. And that's the way I treat my shoes. I wear one, maybe two pairs of shoes in a given time. That doesn't mean I don't have multiple pairs of shoes. But I'll literally use one pair. It's like, I'll use it for work. It's like, they feel good when I work out. Then I just kind of keep wearing them. The main thing you do, just make sure you clean your socks. You'll be fine. just please wear socks. Please, for the love of God, wear fucking socks. But I will say, I don't get the whole, I've never gotten the whole hatred towards people that wear socks and sandals. I've never understood it. I used to be a heavy offender of that. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I'm not an offender anymore is because I just don't have any sandals. But trust me, if I had sandals, socks it is. I'll even wear 2 pairs of socks. Ankle, mid socks, double coverage. Kind of like the one that Jalen Ramsey does not need when he's covering any receiver. But if you're a nickel, get that DC double cuck. Because Richard Sherman might break down your in-laws' doors. This is kind of a weird video to see. There's funny. If anyone actually keeps in track with NFL in any type, someone made a caption on a YouTube video. It was either YouTube or some video, the version I saw of it, where he's like drunk trying to break into his in-laws or whatever. Someone put, man, it's like, I think Sherman was imagining Crabtree's face on that door. And anyone that gets the Richard Sherman Crabtree thing, it's really funny. Go look it up. If you don't understand, you're not a sports fan, you're a girl, guy, don't watch sports. But I know the people that will love that take. They will love it. Man, it's wild. I couldn't imagine, right? Like, let's say I had a daughter. She was with the NFL player, right? Chances are he's probably going to be stronger than me. That doesn't mean I'm not just going to let him do whatever, but hey, man. If Vince Wilfork's breaking down at your door, if Aaron Donald's breaking down at your door, you're going to try to verbally take care of, calming down the situation. Because if you've seen that man work out with knives, unless you're like a samurai, it's not going to work out for you. Aaron Donald literally practices with fucking knives to prepare playing football. All I'm going to say is that dad should be lucky that was Richard Sherman and not Aaron Donald or Nick or Joey Bosa. But if you're an in-law and your daughter is married or with an NFL player, and that happens, right? Do you go out there and do you just try to start beating his ass? Hey, I'm all about protecting my daughter. But if he gets past me, you ain't got no shot. Like, you tell the dad was like, hey, just let him keep beating down the door. We're going to hide. And hope he calms down. I hope the police get here. That was a scary thing to watch in all seriousness. That's a scary, it does bring in the fact of, because, he was drunk. As far as I'm aware, he was drunk. And apparently, according to the phone calls that his wife was saying, he's been drinking. He's been having a drinking problem. And he's mentioned being suicidal, to get serious here for a moment. And I do think the more, is it a sign of possible the CTE thing? Because if you just look at who Richard Sherman has been throughout his whole career, you wouldn't think of someone that struggles with his mental health to that degree. Everyone struggles with mental health to a degree, but he's always been well articulate, one of the smartest people, always very well spoken, just a very intelligent individual. He is one of the last people that you would expect to put fear in his own family's eyes, type of thing, right? And is there possible CTE stuff? We don't know. But there was some speculation, and I did hear a podcast, or I heard some earlier, right? And they were saying that they have a theory. I forgot who it was. But they said they had a theory because, there's been NFL players such as like Junior Seau. There's been, you just look at a bunch of NFL players, a that play, they either basically have dementia. They're basically, even if they're still alive, they're basically vegetables after a certain point. Not even being funny, like they literally can't speak, they can't move. Jim McMahon, like, literally can't even see. Like, he literally can't even see. He has to wear glasses to protect headaches and migraines from the constant beating of playing. All these NFL players with CTE committing suicide because CTE is causing these sporadic movements in their head. And what was I saying? Damn it, got off track. Oh, and now, see, typically, like, we wouldn't see the CTE or the direct effects of it in terms of the extreme effects, where it's apparent to a stranger's eye of the damage that NFL play and football causes, CTE, medical, and health. Typically, you wouldn't see it till like maybe they're 40, like their 50s or 60s, when they can't walk. They've had all these surgeries. They start to be able. They're a little slower thinking. They start slurring their speeches. They're not all there. They may have dementia earlier, Alzheimer's, or like the mental and physical. It's a slower deterioration. But now, it seems like the effects are getting younger and younger. And Richard Sherman, I believe he's like, 32, 33, somewhere in that range, if he's even that old. And he's basically on the last year of his career anyways. He was going to already probably be in his last year playing, if he even plays this year now. He's just not the same dominant player as he used to be, but he still can produce in some type of way. But will these outlandish things, right? Like the suicidal thing that could possibly be connected to CTE because it's fucking with someone's head type of shit. Are we going to start seeing this at such a younger age where people are going to be committing suicide during their primes? And I'm not saying, I know he didn't commit suicide, but wife did mention that he's been talking about being suicidal. He's struggling with things. He's been drinking a lot. And the dude has everything that everyone could wish for. He has money, he has security, he has education. But something's not right. And you could have everything and some things and it doesn't solve all your problems. Or is there something now that are causing problems neurologically that aren't as simple as just get help, as get therapy? But someone had a theory that if Tom Brady, they use the name Tom Brady, you can use the race thing, but it's not even the point of race, but someone who's as accomplished, who's going to go down as possibly the greatest quarterback all time, Hall of Famer, blah, 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 you can name it, whatever. If he were to blow his brains out, like 4 years from now, and basically they would do a brain and it would be connected to CTE, would football shut down? Like, or at the very least, not even if they don't quote unquote shut down, will it truly put in progression the medical revelation of research? Will it fast forward the progress? Sometimes it needs sometimes something extreme has to happen for something to actually move forward, right? Will it actually, would something as dramatic as that actually, what's the words I'm looking for? I'm trying to be very delicate because this is a very serious thing to talk about. Typically I'm ignorant, but I do want to be very delicate with this because this is talking about suicide, CTE, mental health, all that stuff. But if something like that were to happen, big of a face, as big of a name, as accomplished and everything, and it were to happen immediately after he retired, or even still playing, would that be something that would change the whole perception of football? Would it truly change how easy it is to consume as a sport if something like that were to happen? Because that's not just some someone died in a car accident. It's not someone died of an overdose or something and they have personal. Like, playing the game caused them something that no one perceived they had before they entered the game. That would leave a mark on the sport. Like, it'd be the equivalent of, because, like, let's say NBA, right? Let's say an equivalent. If there was some type of similarity to CTE for the NBA, obviously NBA is a different sport. It's not as physical. It's not going to be as, let's say there was something with running that much. Someone died of a heart attack on the court. Different situation, because it's not, you had the situation of, I believe it was Harry Kimball of Loyola Marymount back in the 90s, died on the court from having a heart attack from playing, because they played very fast, everything. If someone were to die on the court in an NBA game, like, it wouldn't be just something you can start playing NBA basketball a week later. Like, all the players would be hesitant because that shocks people. It's like if you're witnessing a very traumatic injury, like when Kevin Ware in Louisville in the March Madness like 10 years ago, when he snapped his leg. I remember watching that shit live. That shit was... I remember watching the bench. I believe Louisville was playing Vanderbilt. I could be wrong. Maybe they were playing Vanderbilt or Kentucky. One of those two teams. And for some reason, it didn't make sense. On the fucking court, they had like a drop-off. Like, literally, it was like steps to go down to the bench right there. Never fucking got that set up, but whatever. And I remember he landed and his legs, you could literally... You just saw him fall on the ground, and you didn't think nothing of it. You just thought, oh, someone fell after they did a jump shot or whatever. But then everyone on the bench right there just like got up and started running. And I remember the game was stopped for like 40 minutes. They had to get him on stretcher. So traumatic. The players needed a breather just to get back into playing. Like, traumatic things like that really can... I really think if something like that were to happen, it would change the sport of the NFL, even knowing the risks of playing the game. Because, see, as a consumer, as a consumer, we know the risks of playing the game. He has to get paid a lot of money. They know the risk. But just because you know the risk, that doesn't mean when those risks come to light, you shouldn't be delicate with it, you know? It's like they provide a service and they gave entertainment for a lifetime. You could rewatch the games that they played in the history books. It's really gladiator type sport. They leave their mark in history. For some reason, the second they retire, it's like for most players, it's like, oh, thanks. And I know they get pensions, they get life insurance in a sense, but, if someone starts not being able to walk at the age of 37, they retired at 33, that's not just something you gloss over. Understands the reality of the game, but, I mean, damn. You know the risk every day you get in a car that you could get in an accident, and they have nothing to do with you. You get it by a drunk driver. But just because you know that risk, you don't think about that. Every time you get in the car, you're not worried about getting hit by a drunk driver because you can't drive scared. You drive scared, you're going to fly through the windshield. Because if you drive scared, it's like if you're playing scared in sports, that's when you get hurt. You play scared in football, you're going to be tense, so you're more susceptible to injury. You play scared in basketball, you're going to be very slow in reacting because you're avoiding getting hurt, which is probably going to end up causing you to get hurt. You play scared in baseball, you get hit in the fucking face because you're not. Heads up. Put your glove up. You're not seeing the line drive hit you right in the fucking nose because you're playing scared. But I don't know where I was going with that. But hey, Sponsored by C4 Energy, where you can see for the future. Orange slice is my favorite flavor. What's yours? And orange is my favorite color. Not that that's really relevant or important at all, but yeah. All right, let's make a smooth transition out of that from CTE to a little booty. Nah, I don't really have a thing to talk about booty. This is one of those episodes where I actually didn't plan ahead of time what to talk about. And it's going pretty solid. I like to give myself updates and give you an honest assessment in the moment of what I feel is happening. You know, you could kind of tell in the moment. Like, I always appreciate it. Like, wouldn't you just love it if you're watching a movie and 28 minutes in, this movie is fucking trash? Don't you wish, like, an actor in the movie would just slip in, like, man, we're in scene 4 already. Storyline's not really moving. This is not going great. Just thought you should know, audience. You know what? Because at least I can appreciate, like, oh, we're watching a shit movie. It kind of makes me want to watch how much shittier it can get. But when you feel like, there's nothing worse than when you're watching something or you're listening to something and the person showing you it really feels like, man, this shit's fire. This song's fire. And you're like, nah, it's not hitting, man. But hey, you know what? Just because I don't think it's good, there's people out there that don't think Drake is good. So hey, man, keep going. You got this. There are people out there that generally thought that Kiss, the band, wasn't good. Motley Crue wasn't good. There's people at the time before they broke, they generally thought their music sucked. But they were wrong. Subjectively. Oh man. For some reason I just had a cock block in my brain. But skipping rocks in a hard place. I've never understood how the skipping rocks in the lake thing works. Obviously, I've skipped some rocks. You always find the ones that have little holes in it because, floats, density. It's good for the water, specifically salt water. Especially when it's been in sand, the granular salt actually helps the density over mass and volume. Density equals mass over volume. But, so wait. I literally just thought is the DMV really a representation of density, mass, and volume? Because the DMV, we know, is where you get your license. The DMV is where you renew your registration. It's where you renew your tags and shit. Legal shit. But a car is technically full of mass. There's volume. You put your stereo to whatever volume you want. And the air inside of the car, when all the doors are closed, can be dense. Especially roll your windows down. The dense winds roll in. And you're free like a bird. Damn, Sheryl Crow. I don't know if you want it. I don't know if you... Is Sheryl Crow really like the knockoff Alanis Morissette? That's like the widest question I think that's ever been asked in the history of mankind. Sheryl Crow and Alanis Morissette. I've never been more ashamed of my white heritage, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. But yeah, I don't know. This podcast started strong, ending weak, And yeah, this is I'm really struggling right now. Oh, okay. So I was thinking about this genuinely. What is like? Look, and when I say this, I don't want people to message me or whatever. It'd be like, bruh, there's literally a definition for this. It's like, yes, I know technically there's a definition. But I also feel like looking up definitions and just researching for simple shit that you can just think for yourself and have an interpretation for yourself kind of demeans the value of thinking for yourself. If you just let things dictate how you think for yourself and demean the fact of research when research should be used for things that are actually needed for research, but you're wasting on things that you just think for yourself for your own personal research. Because all research has to start with a thought. Just saying. Anyways. Is an opinion, can you call something an opinion once you look for outside information to formulate an opinion? Now, let me clarify this. When you talk about certain things, you should, if you're going to talk about it, have some background knowledge when you have an opinion about something. And if you were going to go in depth and speak to masses of people and teach people about something, then yes, you need to do research on your opinion. But does also researching that opinion already take the fact that it's an opinion at that point? For example, let's say I have an opinion about a certain religion, right? By the way, this isn't, but I was actually listening to a Sam Harris. Someone did a video on Sam Harris. I'm kind of aware with him, but Sam Harris, for example, is highly against Islam because, in his opinion, Islam is more of a conquering more than a conversationalist type of religion. Meaning, if you have any issues, it's about conquering, not about conversating, which can lead to a lot of physical situations. Not mean to blow your bubble, but you can't live in a bubble when you're in the Islam nature, because it's either with us or against us. That's why people, you gotta be careful when you're either with me or against me. It's like, I don't have enough of an opinion to be with you or against you. I have a very general idea just off something about you, my observation. My opinion about you doesn't have to be that extreme. But, of course, we as people always want to be so goddamn toxic and be like, man, I would rather have someone feel something about me, even if it's bad, compared to feeling nothing. Because if someone doesn't have any feeling about you, that's a tough one to go home with. Because if someone tells you, I don't have any feeling about you, for you, in any capacity, meaning you always want someone to either love you or hate you, and not just be neutral about you, because that makes you feel more special if someone is an extremist. Or if no one has much to say about you, you're kind of forgettable. But you could be like me and be unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. And trust me, you do not want to be in that boat. You'll be fresh off the boat, because I'm going to kick your ass off in the jaws from the first one. That shark is going, Rrr. That's not the noise a shark makes. What noises do shark makes? Bruce! Anyways. But anytime you go outside, because all ideas are formed from within your head, right? I'm not going to get into conscious, unconscious. We're just going to say ideas that are formed within yourself. Stuff you think of in your head. If you have an opinion about something, but then if you start doing research on your opinion, because at that point, once you start researching, you're either looking to double down on your opinion to confirm to yourself whether it's right or wrong, Or are you looking to be swayed off your opinion? The reality is, by the way, technically neither is wrong. You should look to have a well-rounded opinion to actually see, like, is this opinion even reasonable? Because there are unreasonable opinions. I don't care what people say. But you are entitled to your opinion, whether it's ignorant or correct. But the second you find any information that's outside of anything you think, can you technically call it your opinion? Is my question. Because when I think of an opinion, when I think of my opinions, whether it's the right or wrong way to go about it, I think your opinion is something that stems from a belief within yourself, and your opinion is just a verbal way to say your belief. And can you really say your opinion has true backstanding if you don't even have a belief that you emotionally are attached to it? Wow, look at Clint being all fucking deep here. Really, I don't think it's that deep. I feel like I want to go more in depth with this on the next podcast, because I feel like this is something that's actually something that to talk about for like 20, 25 minutes instead of fucking cocaine etiquette. This is something that's actually deeper under the surface, but I will dabble in a little bit more before I wrap this up. So I guess the thesis or the experiment we should think about to ourselves is what anything, once you start adding quote unquote statistics or quote unquote facts to your opinion, is your opinion, is it even your opinion anymore? Because full ownership of an opinion is 100% from an individual. Anytime, but then when you start taking from research articles or you start looking up things, look up statistics to support your opinion, are you just, is your reasoning for your opinion even from an inner belief anymore, or are you looking more for confirmation to justify to yourself that your opinion is stronger? I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing to think about. I think when a lot of people think of opinions, they just think, because I do feel like a lot of people these days don't even have an opinion about a lot, but they read something and they start with that, even unconsciously, even if it's not on purpose. They think like, they read something, they read a couple things that align with that, and they're like, well, that makes sense, so that's my opinion now. Instead of saying, well, I don't know if I truly am attached to this feeling. That's why I feel like a lot of people, what's the difference between stubbornness and evolving, right? Is stubbornness always a bad thing? I think it's a good balance to everything. Like everything in life, I'm all about balance. I think extremism is good in some ways, but it can also kind of jade your view on the bigger picture. But if you're always about balance, sometimes you may not be able to focus on, ironically, the bigger picture. Because if you have a very narrow point of view in extremists, it's all about the work. But if you're about the bigger picture, it's about rest, work, balance in life, balance in this. It's about not just achieving a singular goal, but to make your whole life spectacle a very balanced, easier going life. Just for one example. I do feel like a lot of people don't really have opinions that they think about. They read things and it becomes their opinion until something proves that opinion incorrect or it proves it. So that's why I feel like a lot of people change opinions or don't have much of a feeling about something, because I think in order to have a belief or opinion about something, you have to have an emotional attachment to it. You can't just put statistic and numbers on everything and you feel strong about it. It may quote unquote support your argument from a linguistic reason or from a verbal exchange, but if you don't have an emotional attachment to something, if you don't have an attachment that you truly believe in something, where you actually feel that anger when it's being attacked, then how much of your opinion is it really? I don't know. It's a fair question. I'm going to wrap up there, and I feel like I'm going to delve back in that in the next episode. I do think that's an interesting construct to talk about. All right, guys, that was episode 24 of the Often Beat podcast with your host, Clint. Remember to follow the IG, subscribe, and like the video on the tube, and follow the TikTok, even though I don't post on there that often. And yeah, and go suck some titties. And summary for today's show: cocaine etiquette. Learn how to think for yourself. Have an actual opinion. CTE is very dangerous, and I think we're seeing it start younger and younger, and it's become so apparent that it's hard to really ignore it. And I have a feeling I'm gonna be doing cocaine sometime in the near future. Don't know why, but that's manifestation. That's manifestation. You speak it into existence. If you talk about something, make it happen. So I guess I'm, by default, my stars will align for cocaine to be in a line, like my spine. And yeah. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy your Sunday, and go suck some titties, and have a great Sunday. Tell God I said hey. Tell God I said hey. That's actually not going by. 7.5 out of 10 podcast. Not fucking bad. I know. I kind of like that no one watches it. Less expectations. And pretty great.